All right. So I have only two people here.
At the
Bob
moment.
Powell and Karen.
I'm Bob, yeah.
Hello.
Okay. Okay. As I said before, we have three areas that we put volunteers to. One is a nursery school and a primary school. We call that whole section lower basic schools. And what they're interested in, by the way, it's my wife that runs the school, and it's next to our compound in a place called Kololi. Kololi is just next to where the hotels are, the hotel clusters. And what they're interested in is mainly administration. I had a chat with them today, and the areas admin work. My wife, the background, she's the head of the school, but her background is education, early childhood education. And she's not very familiar with admin matters. She's got some helps before, but apparently she needs more help in that area. Subject area methods, especially in English, maths, and science. Those are key areas that she needs help in. Another area is classroom management, how to manage the children, especially in terms of disciplinary measures, how to make sure not everyone is shouting, not listening to the teacher sometimes. We've got comments from past volunteers who said that is key needed in the school, because sometimes the teachers cannot control the children, and that if we can have that, that'll be good. General teaching methods and the areas of intervention, it could be in terms of administration, record keeping. In terms of the other areas, it could be observation and giving feedbacks and giving assessments. It could be sharing of experiences in a workshop setup where you put all the teachers together and share your experience. And then, of course, follow up with in every classroom to see what they do, whether they have learned something from the workshops. Generally, we are not looking for teachers who will come and teach in the classrooms. What we are looking for is teachers who will add value by actually training the teachers to do the teaching themselves. Gardening, as Karin said, is one of the areas, because that's a good area of teaching the children by doing. You can teach them biology, you can teach them other subjects, science and everything. That's a good area in terms of teaching. My wife is also interested in games that can help the teachers to grow and think better. So if there are any games out there that can be done in practice to teach the children, that will be well appreciated. Those are the areas that we thought we should talk about in Mary's Little Lamb. If there are any questions, then we can deal with that, and then I can move to the other areas. Or if you prefer, we are a smaller group, maybe I can just go ahead and deal with the other areas, or we can deal with Mary's Little Lambs first and then go to the other areas.
Let me just check. I think Bob wants to visit another room as well, Adama. But
okay.
You're okay, are you?
Yes, yeah, it'd be good to hear.
The other areas.
One of the things I was interested in was perhaps the linkage between the themes of tourism in the various world centers that people and places are working with.
Okay.
So if I hear a little bit about that, because although I only visited South Africa, the Mpapalonga, the Hazy View centers for one day, I could see quite a scope for developing volunteer activity there within their hospitality and tourism section.
Good, good. That is a key area in Gambia's development. Tourism is one of the biggest economic activity we have, apart from agriculture, selling peanuts around the world. So we are working directly with two institutions. One is called Assad, used to be called Asset, which I was very instrumental in forming, one of the founders of this association. But it puts together all the small enterprises. If you know how the Gambia is, tourism is, it's organized, it's planned in clusters. And you have a Kotu cluster, you have a Senegambia cluster, you have other clusters. And surrounding the hotels are the centers of the clusters. And surrounding all the hotels are small enterprises, from big bars to fruit sellers, to juice pressers, to bars, restaurants, nightclubs, you name it. Mostly these smaller enterprises and craft market. We also have taxi car parks. All these are within the catchment or within the cluster. And all these are normally smaller, owned by Gambians. And the plan in the beginning was to make sure that Gambians have access to tourism. So this cluster idea, that's how it came about. So the government builds the infrastructure around the cluster for smaller businesses to have access. So the craft market, for example, is built by government. Where the fruit stalls are is built by government. All this infrastructure is built by government. So they have an association called ASET, now ASAD, which is the Association of Small Scale Enterprises in Responsible Tourism. It used to be called Small Scale Enterprises in Tourism, but they've added responsible in it now. They are going through serious difficulties given the COVID at this moment, because they have an administration and they have an office which coordinates all the activities of their programs. But unfortunately, and this office depends and the administrators depend on membership subscriptions. And given the COVID, all the businesses are closed, you dare not ask anyone about subscription at this stage. So therefore, none of these businesses are working anymore. And the administration has to close down. They did not have enough money to pay for the rent, and therefore they were kicked out of the building, and they did not have enough money to pay the admin personnel. So again, everything is not working at that level. But all the same, all the small businesses are intact, they're there, and they will need assistance. They are mainly all these small enterprises, but there are areas of interest, again, administration. I was talking to one of the lodge owners. Some of the lodge owners also are members of ASET, but they must be very small lodge owners. One of them not long ago talked to me about wanting a volunteer in terms of administration after the COVID. They would like, of course, the administration will include bookkeeping. They would like people to help them in terms of marketing and branding the products and services they have. There are also specialist areas that will require some assistance, like ecologists. You have in the area of ecotourism. If there are experts out there or practitioners who've got a wealth of experience, they would like advice on how to manage their ecologies, how to deal with their communities, and so on and so forth. We have also travel agencies They would like help in terms of admin again, or bookkeeping, or other areas relevant to their various fields. Travel agencies also organize excursions. How do you develop new products? New excursion products is one of the areas they're looking at, because many of the products that we are using now in the Gambia are already, they've been used and used and used over and over. And because some of them do not know the taste of what the tourists like or what the tourists want, they would like an input coming from those countries. So if, for example, one can come and say, can we go on a trip around the Gambia, for example, and I will look at products that can be of interest to tourists. Or what are you doing presently? What do you want to add? What theme is it? Is it culture? Is it environment? How can we add different things into, develop that into an excursion so that it's of interest to tourists? I went through it, like you can say, I would be the one who will test the product, and I have gone through it and I find it interesting. Some of
I'm
the
going
things
to interrupt one moment here just to explain to Marta and Bob. I think that Karen knows Adama has a master's in responsible tourism. He's worked in responsible tourism ever since I've known him, and longer. And we've known each other nearly 20 years, Adama.
Yeah. we need to celebrate that. Okay. All right.
So Adama is a very important person in the Gambia in tourism. He actually worked with Harold on the Gambia's responsible tourism policy with the government, and that's when I met Adama. So Adama is not just some Gambian who's decided to travel around the Gambia and see what people need for tourism. Adama is at most serious responsible tourism conferences. Adama will be a guest speaker. I knew you weren't going to say any of that, Adama.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, these are areas, specialist areas like developing new products in excursions, entrepreneurship training. That's key. You know, if you can help these small businesses to have a vision, what do you want to do tomorrow? What do you want to achieve? Where are you at today? And do an analysis and help them to think critically in that direction will be very helpful. Some businesses will like to start new initiatives. Apart from what they're doing, they want to start something new. Introduce them to a business plan, for example, how to do a business plan, because most people do not think of a business plan when they're starting their businesses. And therefore, a lot of the small businesses do not succeed. But the few that succeed already have ideas, but it's by mere chance sometimes, or mere luck. It's not through critical thinking. So if they can be assisted through that business plan process, that's a good way of doing it. Marketing, that's really key to what they do. Some people will start with the product before they even start with think about the market, which is, of course, a wrong way of doing it. You start with the demand to know what the demand is before you actually develop your product. But many people start with the product because someone is doing it. You want to do it too. That one is successful. I want to be successful. Then I start a business. We all know, those involved in business, that's not the best way of doing it. Start with the demand, know what people want before. Now, if they can be helped through that process, that will be really good. Branding their product. We have a lot of people who are part of, some women gardeners who are part of Assad. They've moved from just gardening to also food processing. How to brand their products is really also important. How do you brand it if you add value to it, if you process it? That's an important area to look at. Now that moves us now to the training aspect. which I am the chairman of the board of the Institute of Travel and Tourism, ITOG. We also do receive volunteers from people and places. We have been struggling, and we continue to struggle today, mainly because we were teaching only tourism. We don't even teach a lot of hospitality. But we have come to learn that we need to do two things, because most of our students are not paying the tuition because of poverty, really. So we have not been very successful in getting monies out of our students for the long time. We have actually managed to put our own resources into it just to help it keep it going. But now given the COVID, we're thinking of diversifying the subject areas. And because it's vocational, it must be hands-on. So we are now thinking of developing new subject areas. One of the subject areas we are thinking of is the performing arts culture. We're trying to link performing arts culture to the subjects we are doing. Unfortunately, a lot of those who are performing within the tourism area, most of them are not Gambians. I have nothing bad about other people doing it, but the fact is to give Gambians, because of the cultural skeletons that we had before, a certain caste actually in the Gambia specializes on drumming, dancing, and we call them the griot caste. And because of that, you can be exposed to drumming and dancing, which every African is, but you're not allowed to get into drumming and dancing in practice. Of course, that is changing very fast nowadays because people are gaining money from it. But that's the cultural skeleton that we still have. So other people from other countries are taking advantage of this, and they are the ones performing in some of the hotels. And when people go to the Gambia, of course, they want to see Gambian culture, Gambian drumming, Gambian, dancing, and so on and so forth. There is no school of performing arts in the Gambia. So we think this is an area we should look at. Therefore, we are thinking of developing the curriculum for that area. We are working with an institution in UK, but how to put this into practice and start to do the quality check of what we train people in is a big area. We have no idea how to do that. So if we have people out there who can help in that area, we are looking for a long-term placement for that, I'm afraid. It's not just a 1 month thing. It could be 2 months, 3 months placement where you come and help us. The areas we are thinking of is arts, painting, dance, storytelling. No, sorry, not painting, because that's not part of that's visual arts. But we're thinking of dance, storytelling, theater management, music. These are the 4 areas that we are thinking that we can start with those 4 areas. And we are trying to link up with a college, École des Arts in Dakar, because in Dakar, in Senegal, they're well advanced in that area. So we're thinking of linking with a college in Dakar so that the practical aspects can also be done in Senegal, because they have got an advanced method of doing these things. So we're linking with them. But we need someone to come and help us really in this area, how to manage it practically on the ground. Another area that we are thinking of is catering. Sorry, I have got a walker here. I have to, just give me a second.
Okay.
No,
talking with the worker.
Give me a second. We have a walker drilling behind. He's just stopping now. Another area.
What was that other area? I missed that.
Pardon me?
What? I'm sorry, I missed it. What was the other area you were thinking of?
I am coming to that now.
Ah, sorry.
The other area we're thinking of is catering. We've not been involved in hospitality, but we think we're going to link catering with events management, events planning and management. And fortunately, we've got a program sponsored by a project called Youth Empowerment Project. They've given us, they're going to give 50 scholarships to young Gambians between the ages of 18 and 35 for us to be trained, to train them in events planning and management. We have developed the curriculum, but what is missing is the practical aspect of doing things. So if we have an event planner who can come, and we want to link it with weddings too, to give them more practice. Because there are more, if you link the wedding plus catering, and the school do it with some of these students who are very good, and help them in original finance to start their own businesses, and they can be trained at the same time in practice. This is what we are thinking of doing.
And
So
it's
if we
one
have
of the things,
yeah,
a volunteer called Sharon
yeah,
is an events manager, owns an events management company.
yeah.
And she was due to travel to volunteer with Adama before COVID started. And she is now able, because they've had to totally rethink their events company, as you can imagine, with COVID. They've now got through that. So Sharon now feels she has some time to start e-volunteering with Adama. But that's only one person. There are different skills.
Different
And
areas.
For you, Marta, we know we're looking for how we could use your translation skills. And maybe, and I'm sure, Adama, that you've got ideas of where.
Yeah, I mean, those are areas. The other area is languages, where Martha will come in.
Sorry,
Bob's
can I
going.
say, would you forgive me if I left? Thank you ever so much for a very clear exposition of your projects. It's really helpful, and I shall bear in mind all of that when I talk to other friends and people who are interested in volunteering.
Yeah,
I want to go back into the main room now.
Yeah.
No problem.
So, thank you very
See you
much.
later, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. With Martha, what we are thinking of is we teach. We're the only institution in the Gambia, and I think throughout this region, that is teaching local guides up country, in villages where tourists visit. Because if we want to do it responsibly, we don't want guides to come from the cities, take the tourists all the way to a village and still guide the tourist. Of course, these guides may have an understanding of what the village looks like, but they will not be able to talk about the specific cultural experiences you can get within a village setup. But some of these tourists can be Spanish, they can be German, they can be, so what we are now thinking of is to have, we've never had it before, foreign languages taught to these guides. And that's where Marta's skills can come, because we want to start that from September 2021. That's the next academic year. So we've got some period there for a face-to-face volunteering, if God and COVID willing, of course. That's what I always say.
Is that something you might be interested in? Of course, you'd need to learn more about it, Marta.
Yeah.
And we also know, of course, hello, Madeline. We also know that times are challenging for us all, and you need to work when there's work available for you. So given all the challenges that we have, would working with Adama on a language training specifically for the guides and within their guiding, is that something that you think could be interesting, that you think you'd be able to do?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I find it very interesting. It can match easily with my skills. I teach languages. I teach Italian and Spanish, so it's going to be a good use of my skills for sure.
Yeah.
Then, of course, I'm also very interested in many other issues, but I'm not skilled in those ones like ecology, environment, many of the things that Adama mentioned before. I believe that if the Gambia would be able to improve those aspects, it would be very great, not just for the economy, but also for the daily life of people. But of course, I'm
Yeah.
not skilled in those things. I'm interested. I believe it's important, but I'm not skilled.
But
Okay.
yes, but what you are doing, Marta, is you're contributing your skills to that area that you care about. And your skills are really, one of the things about Adama is we don't need a responsible tourism expert. Adama is the responsible tourism expert. What he needs is the skills to enable him to do that work even better.
Yeah, of course.
I'll give you, just to give you an example, Marta. I mean, we teach cultures from other countries. Yeah, because we think our students must know how to relate to a person coming from a different culture, be it Spain, be it UK. They're all particularities about those cultures that we are interested in teaching our students. So a mere lecture, you can call it mere, but very important, lecture to our students of how to deal with Spanish tourists, how to deal with Portuguese tourists, how to deal with English tourists. They think like this. That is really important for us. They're not, as you know, we are not as direct as you guys are. We can go all the way to, we can go all the way to Basse, which is the end of the Gambia, and come back just to tell you a story that you can tell maybe in 2 minutes. But that's our culture, and we love that. Yeah. But how to talk to Europeans in a way, another good example is to be respectful to your elders. You don't have to look at the person directly on the eyes, direct. You have to be like this. And that's not European culture. You have to look at me when I'm talking to you. So these things that we take for granted can be really, really important to our students to know how to behave, how to deal with tourists coming from other countries. So there are many things that people may think they don't have a skills in, but we can actually design it in a way that it can fit whatever you want to do. So the other thing I would like to talk about is the Ninkynanka Trail. We have developed an excursion that goes throughout the Gambia with different cultural experiences. And we were just about to sell this excursion, but unfortunately COVID came. And our biggest clients, we think for this trip, is probably those from Holland and the Spanish people, because they're more adventurous than the Brits. Most of the Brits would like to stay around the coast, unfortunately. They're always looking at other issues much more than the other people coming from Spain, coming from Netherlands. They go all the time, they go inland. So these are things that if we know them, then it equips us to know the client that we are dealing with. So you may think what you know, it's not much, but don't take it for granted. We can make use of every experience that you have. And that's why your life story is really important to us. That's why I think the life stories must be as detailed as possible, because that helps us to know the person. And also it gives us an idea of how to fit this person within a particular location or within a particular experience for us to learn from him or her. And it's not just the whole people and places experience is not just about you, it's about sharing. So you can come, you come in to give, but we think you can learn much more from the experience too. And above all, it's also fun. You have 3 days where you can go on an excursion to see the Gambia and have fun. So we try to put these 3 things together, share from your experience, you learn from us, and above all have fun and have a totally touristic experience. You decide what you want to do. But Martha, your experience is key. And we can look at how, given that you're working with Gambian refugees and Senegalese refugees, there is much you can learn from here, but there is also much we can learn from you in the area of teaching our young people that it is not all, golden as they're told Europe is. And that's the experience that you have, and that can help us in teaching young people. Yeah?
Yeah, I agree 100% with everything you said. I agree.
Okay, okay, all right.
Hi, Madeline.
Hi there. I'm just inquiring on behalf of, actually.
Madeline was one of our first volunteers. I think it was the second year, the end of the first year that we were operating.
Right.
And and I can't remember which school you went to.
I was at Isaac Boy.
And I seem to remember she was thrown in at the deep end. I seem to remember that suddenly you were being asked to teach geography or something. Is that right?
Good gracious, you've got a good memory.
I have.
Yeah, I'm not a teacher. I'm not qualified in anything like that. But I've got a degree in environmental studies. So they sort of threw me in. I did an OU degree when I was sort of 50. So, that's where it came from. But they suddenly said I could be teaching geography, and it was really quite exciting because the teachers, literally, there were 17 teachers teaching 800 children. So it was absolutely, the classes were jam-packed, which was quite sort of intimidating, to be perfectly honest, to somebody like me. But it was very exciting, I must say. And I introduced them to having visual aids, whereas they hadn't had any before. I made things at the hotel out of old packages of papers and things, and cut pictures out and stuck them all together.
Sound familiar, Karen?
And it was really quite exciting the way that they.
Madeline, can I ask, what is your skill set? What you studied environmental science, but what do you do in practice?
I have the last 15 years I've been working on town council, and I've just been overseeing all sorts of things, keeping people happy. But I have no absolute skills at all.
In terms of the environment,
children, I've got grandchildren, and I have, we've lived abroad in Holland, and we've done English with people, things like that. So,
in terms of the environment, I mean, what areas? You've talked about recycling in hotels and all that, which is of interest.
Yeah.
Great interest in what we do, but in terms of environment, what can you do in practice?
Well, you tell me. You should pitch in and do most things, actually. I think that's the best way to say it.
For example, what we do, I was just talking about this excursion that we're doing.
Yeah.
By the way, the excursion, you can see it now, it's live from yesterday.
Oh, yes.
And it's called Ninky, N-I-N-K-I.
Yeah.
N-I-N-K-I.
Yeah.
N-A-N-K-A. N-I-N-K-I. N-A-N-K-A. Ninkynanka.
Right.
Ninkynanka. Ninkynanka Travel, Travel.
Okay.
Now, that gives you an idea what we're doing with that excursion. But we'll definitely need someone who will help us in terms of our environmental impact assessment, environmental impact, not assessment actually, practical things that we can do on a trip with tourists that will be environmentally friendly. For example, in one of the lodges, they've stopped using plastic bottles.
Oh, yeah.
So what they have is a filter bottle, a big filter bottle, and they have distributed these silver, iron silver portable things that, and every day you can come to the reception and feel your portable thing. And that's a best practice. That's a good practice. Now, if we can have advices like that on the trail, don't throw plastic in the river because it's dangerous. It does this. When you're coming to visit, when you're coming on the trail, you should be prepared. Environmentally, this is what you need to do. Those things are important for us on the trip to start giving tourists advice before they leave their hotels or before even they come from the UK. By the way, in the Gambia, plastics are banned. We don't, yeah, plastics are banned for many years now.
Wow.
But I can see it coming again, unfortunately, because what we had was a dictator. I'm not entertaining that when the dictator was here, it was really strict and everybody was following it to the letter. But now that we have a much more liberal government, what we call democracy, I'm not saying it was better before, my words, it was terrible because many people died and we had terrible experiences with the dictatorship. But I'm just saying that the government that we have now, because it's a new government, it has a lot in its plate and it's not giving that area much emphasis as of yet, but I'm sure they will do as time goes on. Plastics are banned. You are not given plastic in supermarkets. There must be paper bags.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, for some years now, we've been doing that practice. So all those things environmentally, Madeleine, they can be important for us. So if you want to come and volunteer, and of course do the Ninkynanka Trail at the same time, and look at how it is on the route, and give us advice as to how best to do it, that's a good way of using your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is the website, do you still have an idea for Marta? The website's now ready to look up for translation, or is that something? Yeah, so you and Diane and Adama have
we'll
to talk about Marta.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's not ready, but we thought we cannot wait to get all the information we need. It will take ages, and we just needed to launch it, and then we have someone there on the background that can update it as information comes. But Marta, yes, the website is ready. You can contact.
Oh, there we go. It was bound to happen. He's done very well to be with us this long. Up to 2 minutes before we started, there was no power in the Gambia.
Oh no.
Typical.
So it was a bit of a challenge. So I think we might have lost him, but we've done very, very well. So so Master, I think Diane, you and Diane can start to talk. Hello.
It's back.
Sorry, I was gone for a few minutes, few seconds.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
it looks like we have Judy.
I'll try and call her and let her know. Okay, she's probably in the middle. Sorry, I'm just taking a call from another meeting.
Okay.
I'll mute my mic. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just asking Judy. Judy's just got in.
Yeah.
What areas are you interested in?
Well, I'm a counsellor and also a teacher.
You're what?
I'm a counsellor.
Okay.
Counsellor and mainly with children, and also done teaching and social work. And I've been to the Gambia with my daughter some years ago, and we didn't want to go home.
Wow, wonderful.
We loved, and we cried when we left. We loved it so much. And we actually helped a couple of people with passports and things because, you know, they haven't got much money. And I kept in touch with some of them for a long time. But we just had an amazing time. I mean, everybody else stayed in the hotel, but we happened to meet some really nice guys and they took us everywhere. And I ended up like going and chasing chickens and cooking and doing all sorts of things with them. And it was lovely. And we were the only ones who didn't get sick because we ate the local food. So I always kind of thought it'd be lovely to go back and do some volunteering at some point.
In which area?
Well, like where I went, it was near Banjul. You know, it was the sort of by the coast. So, what area? I mean, what kind of work?
Well, we all our programs are along the coast, not far from probably where you live. Which hotel did you stay in?
Oh, I can't remember now. It was right near the beach. And
okay.
And
we are a walking distance. Where we live is a walking distance from the beach.
Yeah.
And all our programs are located within that area.
Right.
What we have, as I was explaining to the others, is a nursery school and a primary school and a college. These are the two areas that are related to teaching.
Right.
So it depends on what you want to do. I was just saying that I said before that what Mary's Little Lamb, which is actually my wife is the owner of Mary's Little Lamb School, nursery school.
Right.
The areas, they would definitely like someone to help them with their administration.
Right.
Teach the present administrator into different things, be it filing system, be it using the computer, Excel, and all the rest of it. And classroom subject areas, they're very much interested in teaching methods in English, in maths, in science in particular.
Yeah.
Other subject areas can be of interest, but these are the most important areas they're looking at: English, maths, and science.
Yeah.
Classroom management, how to help them, because the children can be very rowdy sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes, how to manage them in a classroom setup. General teaching method, gardening. If you have any area, any idea.
I love gardening. Yeah.
Do games that help the children to think and grow. All those areas, and just doing a workshop with the teachers and exchanging an experience, observing what the teachers are teaching on a day-to-day basis, and then give them what you think, give them feedback on what you think is the best way of teaching a particular subject.
Do you have volunteers there at the moment?
No, not at the moment because of the COVID, of course.
Oh, because of the COVID, that's what I'm thinking, yes. Have you got much over there?
Well, we have yesterday, I mean, we had a few weeks where we had no cases. It was going down, but it starts to come up again. I mean, we had yesterday 35 cases.
Right.
It's really, really better than where you are right now.
It is.
So if you want to escape, this is the best country to come to.
The safest. Well, I've had a jab because I work in schools. So I have been vaccinated. That helps.
Yeah.
I had one too.
Have you?
I mean, we had a number of volunteers lined up to be in the
Yes.
Gambia, and COVID prevented
Yes, that's what I
them from traveling. I mean, so there's a fairly regular, small numbers, but fairly regular flow of volunteers to the Gambia. You were saying earlier on, which I'm not sure whether Judy heard, about how important volunteers' life story is and how you work with that, Adama.
Yeah, I was saying that the more information we have about you, it's the best for us. Because sometimes you may take for granted the skills you have. But if we know more about you, we can always say, oh, yes, we can actually place him or her in doing this. And what we experience is most of the volunteers, by the time they leave, feel they have not done much. You know, they've done very little.
Yes.
Whilst we think they have done a lot of things with us, they think they have not done a lot. So it's just people take it for granted the experiences they share with us. You must understand that you're coming from a totally different cultural background.
Absolutely.
I mean, that exchange in itself, I mean, gives us a lot of insight into how other people think and gives us an international perspective of what we are doing, because no education is local nowadays. Of course, you can teach local things, but it got to be linked to international standards. It got to be linked so that the horizon of children is widened, because nowadays, even giving the COVID as a good example, we are learning that we are more connected than what we thought before.
Adama, could I just ask Karen, as a volunteer who's been with you in the Gambia, well, I mean, it was a while ago, but that's because of COVID. What did you find the biggest challenges and the biggest successes, Karen?
I'm sorry, Sally, could you repeat that, please?
What did you find the biggest challenges culturally? What were the new things you learned, and what were the joys of being there, the pluses and the minuses?
There weren't any minuses. There were challenges because, well, I was completely out of my comfort zone. It's a different climate. It's a different soil type. You know, everything had to be done before 11 o'clock in the morning because it just got too hot. Obviously learning about what grows where, when the rainy season is, what to put in when, etc. They were all challenges, but they certainly weren't detrimental at all. And the plus sides, there are too many pluses to even discuss. It was a completely different. I got to know some wonderful. That are just lovely going, and there isn't the same I did. I mean, when I'm working with my little ones on the plot and they come to me and they're so excited about what they've grown and they want to give me a hug, because that's the way we operate. It's all very different out there. It was a wonderful experience.
How long did you stay for?
3 weeks, and I liked to have stayed longer. If I went again, I would want to stay longer, I think, because at the time I left, when I went in, there was an air land behind the school that was cultivated and had been, I think, stored there is the polite way of saying it, over decades. And we had to clear that, and I obviously had some help doing that because the tools that were available weren't what I was used to. There was a pickaxe and a broken rake, and I did provide some tools before I left. But we had to sort of clear and cultivate beds for the children to grow vegetables in when I left. By the time I left, had I been able to stay another week, I would have seen things planted. As it was, I left a plan.
That's good. What's the best time of year to go then? Because you've got the rain season. It gets very hot, doesn't it, at times?
We were there. I was there in February, I think it was. I would say that was a good time to go. It wasn't unbearably hot. The only problem with trying to grow at that time is you had to make provision for watering. And there was a question mark over who would be able to water during the school holidays, etc. Believe.
Right.
Got a rota organised.
Thanks.
I would do it again like a shot. Fabulous experience.
Are you going to do it again?
Oh, I do hope so.
Yeah, when you have a chance. Yeah.
I've had my jab.
Good.
Will you have her again, Adama?
Would you have me again, Adama?
You're muted, Adama.
Oh yes, Karen was wonderful. She was wonderful. She changed the whole backyard. She changed the whole backyard and got others involved. I mean, we have a guy here called, what's his name again? Abdullah, he kept on. Abdullah.
Yes.
Who was a very lazy bugger.
I didn't let him stop.
But after you left, I mean, he kept on. And now, you know what the inspiration is? You know, we have a big backyard. I think we are the only ones left with this big backyard here because, I mean, this place is developing very fast and people are selling off their compounds. But we've left a big backyard behind. And Abdullah has a garden in the backyard, which is different from the school garden. He's just harvested his cucumbers, big cucumbers. So that's coming from your inspiration, really. So that's good. Good.
Well, I hope to come back and see it someday.
Okay.
You will say hello from me to Abdullah, won't you?
I will.
Thank you.
Will.
And Lisong, of course.
And Lisong, of course.
So the school is a challenge. One of the things Adam are talking about in the main room, the challenge at the moment is income, parents not having income. It isn't only in the colleges, it's also for the school. And I'm going to enlarge a little on what you said about the school, because Lisong, Adama's wife, founded the school to be a model school. There was no early childhood education in the Gambia until 3-4 years ago. Yes, Adama?
Yeah.
And
started developing.
Lisong is, without question, the most highly qualified early childhood educator in the Gambia because she was trained in Sweden and the States some time ago, but she was trained there. Lisong, one of the things that Lisong loves about having the volunteers is because she can't go on refresher courses for her early childhood education work, she gets that stimulation from any of the skilled educators that come to her. But they're now in a position, of course, where the parents don't have the income. So the Bahs, being the kind of people they are subsidizing the school, of course, and the children. And you'll be making sure that they're eating at lunchtime if you know children are not eating at home. And also teachers have, whilst the school was closed, in some instances, teachers had to find another way of finding income. So some teachers have not come back to school because there's no such thing as a furlough system in the Gambia. So Adama himself couldn't do a call with me last week because he was teaching. So in the COVID crisis in the Gambia is, yes, it's a health crisis, but they're managing it superbly, but it is a serious economic crisis. And this is coming to the Gambia just after the nightmare of Ebola and the crazy president, and then Thomas Cook going bust last year.
Right.
The Gambia is devastated by COVID.
Wow.
And but Adama will never, he will say we need help, but never say quite how bad it is. It's really, really difficult there. The people without, because one person employed in tourism is not supporting one person. They're probably supporting 20 people in their compound. So at the moment, for a man who hoped he was going to retire soon, you're working quite hard, aren't you? So we have 4 more minutes before we need to leave and go to the, well, 3 more minutes. Does anyone have any questions?
Anyone has questions or wants to do something, is not very clear, or wants to ask about the Gambia, any general thing, you can ask anything.
No, I've just been looking at the trail that you're doing on my other screen, so it looks very interesting.
Okay.
I have a question, Adama. You are obviously closely linked to Mary's Little Lambs. Would there be opportunities for volunteers like me who can't teach, but who are simply sort of practically manually interested in gardening in other schools to go and do similar as what we managed at Mary's Little Lambs?
Yeah. We can work that out. I mean, I forgot to talk to you about some new developments. You know, when you came with Sally, she visited the nursery school that is just next door to Mary's Little Lamb, which my wife started really. It's Lisong that started that school before she left for Sweden. Now that's one place, but I'm not sure they have a garden.
I know exactly where the garden would be.
All right. Okay. All right. They can create a garden. You can start up a garden. But the way we work over the years is we do an assessment of every project before we start working with them. And thank God Sally was here to do an assessment of that school. Now, the next stage, of course, is for me to talk to, once we say it's okay, we get the okay from Sally and others, they've dealt with the health and safety issues and all the relevant issues dealing with that area. Then, of course, I will have to talk to the school and talk to they normally have a village committee and tell them what we want to do. So once they accept that, then that side of the issue is dealt with, and then we start working with them. That's what is left, but we can actually start doing another volunteering program before long, really.
We can get that work done before we'll be allowed to travel.
Yeah.
Because I have done all the support program, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to leave, team.